would drop Leno's show from the 10 p.m. slot, with Zucker announcing plans to shift the program, which would have been reduced to a half hour, into the 11:35 p.m. slot and shift its existing late-night lineup, including The Tonight Show, by 30 minutes. The removal of the Jay Leno show from its prime-time schedule had almost no impact on NBC's ratings. The increases NBC experienced in the 2010-11 season compared to 2009-10 were almost entirely attributable to the rising viewership of NBC Sunday Night Football. By 2012, the shows that occupied the 10 p.m. time slot drew lower numbers than the Jay Leno show did when it aired in that hour 2 years before. In the spring of 2010, cable provider and multimedia firm Comcast announced it would acquire a majority interest in NBC Universal from General Electric, which would retain a minority stake in the company in the interim. On the 24th of September, 2010, Jeff Zucker announced that he would step down as NBC Universal's CEO once the company's merger with Comcast was completed at the end of the year. After the deal was finalized, Steve Burke was named CEO of NBC Universal and Robert Greenblatt replaced Jeff Gaspin as chairman of NBC Entertainment. In 2011, NBC was finally able to find a breakout hit in the mid-season reality singing competition series The Voice. Otherwise, NBC had another tough season, with every single new fall program getting cancelled by season's end. The third time this has happened to NBC after the fall of 1975, and the fall of 1983 and the mid-season legal drama Harry's Law being its only freshman scripted series to be renewed for the 2011-12 season. NBC nearly completed its full conversion to an all-HD schedule, outside of the Saturday morning time slot leased by the Cubo Consortium, which NBC Universal would rescind its stake in the following year, on the 20th of September, 2011, when Last Call with Carson Daly converted to the format with the premiere of its 11th season. The 2011-12 season was another tough season for NBC. On the upside, NBC's broadcast of Super Bowl XLVI was the most watched program in U.S. television history at the time, and NBC's Monday night mid-season lineup of The Voice and musical drama Smash was very successful. NBC managed to lift itself into third place in the 1849 demographic in the 2011-12 season, primarily on the strength of those three programs, Sunday Night Football, The Voice, and Smash, breaking NBC's 8-year streak in fourth place. 4 shows survived for a second season, but 3 of them were cancelled in the following year. None were unqualified ratings successes, and NBC remained a distant fourth place in total viewership. In the fall of 2012, NBC greatly expanded its sitcom roster, with 8 comedy series airing on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday nights. NBC bounced back to first place network in adults 18-49 that fall, boosted by the new season of The Voice, the initial success of freshman drama Revolution and sitcom Go On, and the continued strength of Sunday Night Football. However, after withholding the new season of The Voice and benching Revolution until late March, NBC's mid-season ratings suffered, falling to 5th place behind Spanish-language network Univision during the February sweeps period. The 2012-13 season ended with NBC finishing in third place overall, albeit by a narrow margin, with only 3 new shows, all dramas, surviving for a second season: Revolution, Chicago Fire and Hannibal. In 2013, NBC Sports migrated its business and production operations, including NBCSN, to new facilities in Stamford, Connecticut. Production of the network's NFL pregame show Football Night in America remained at the NBC studios at Rockefeller Center, with production operations based in Studio 8G, while the program itself was broadcast in Studio 8H, the longtime home of Saturday Night Live, until it migrated to the Stamford facility in September 2014. Despite the failure of another highly advertised game show event, the million-second quiz, the 2013-14 season was mostly successful for NBC due to the continued success of The Voice, Chicago Fire, Revolution, Sunday Night Football and Grimm. Along with new hits including The Blacklist, Hannibal and Chicago PD, and a significant ratings boost from its broadcast of the 2014 Winter Olympics, NBC became the #1 network in the coveted 1849 demographic that season for the first time since the 2003-04 season, when Friends ended. NBC also improved considerably in total viewership, finishing behind long-dominant CBS in second place for the season. The 2014-15 season was something of a mixed bag for NBC, but still successful. NBC launched 8 new series that year, with only one, comedy-drama police procedural The Mysteries of Laura, being renewed for a second season. Nevertheless, the network continued to experience success with most of its returning series, especially The Blacklist, despite a modest decline in viewership following its move to Thursdays midway through the season, due partly to an initial weak lead-in from miniseries The Slap. Combined with the record number of viewers tuning into Super Bowl slicks, NBC again finished #1 in the 1849 demographic and in second place overall. The 2015-16 season was successful for NBC, with the successful launch of the new drama Blind Spot premiering after The Voice, then subsequently being renewed for a second season in November 2015. NBC also continued with the success with the Chicago franchise with launching its second spin-off Chicago Med, which also received an early second season pickup in February 2016. Thursday nights continues to be a struggle for NBC, with continued success with the third season of The Blacklist brought the failed launch of Heroes Reborn, which was cancelled in January 2016, and Thriller the Player. However, NBC found success with police procedural Shades of Blue, which improved in its time slot and was renewed for a second season in February 2016. On the comedy side, NBC surprisingly found success in the new workplace sitcom Superstore, which premiered as a preview after The Voice in November 2015, and officially launched in January 2016, which brought decent ratings for a new comedy without The Voice as a lead-in, and which was subsequently renewed for a second season in February 2016. The 2016-17 season brought more success for NBC with the premiere of comedy drama This Is Us, which was well received by critics and ratings and was renewed for 2 additional seasons in January 2017. The Blacklist continued to bring in modest ratings, but it brought the failed launch of its spin-off The Blacklist, Redemption. NBC continued to grow the Chicago franchise with a third spin-off titled Chicago Justice. On the comedy side, workplace sitcom Superstore continued success in its second season. NBC launched new fantasy sitcom The Good Place following The Voice and brought in modest ratings and was renewed for a second season in January 2017. Another highlight of the 2016-17 season was The Wall, which premiered to modest ratings and would air in the summertime period prior to the 2017-18 season. The 2017-18 season brought continued success for NBC with the premiere of Ellen's Game of Games and the return of Will and Grace, the latter of which previously aired its final episode in 2006. The 2018-19 season would continue NBC's success with the premieres of the Titan Games, Manifest, Songland, and New Amsterdam, all of which would be renewed for additional seasons. However, The Village and The Enemy Within would not make it past their first seasons. NBC's dominance of the 2010s would fade during the 2019-20 season, when the COVID-19 pandemic caused a major disruption in production of NBC's programming. The pandemic caused the IOC and the Japanese government to reach an agreement to postpone the 2020 Summer Olympics to the summer of 2021, resulting in NBC having to rely on alternative programming for the summer of 2020. NBC later moved to number 2 in the Nielsen ratings, behind only CBS, in 2021, then reclaimed its status the top-rated network in 2022. The 2022-23 season saw the series premieres of their new multi-camera comedies Lopez vs. Lopez on the 4th of November, 2022 and the 2023 revival of Night Court on the 17th of January, 2023. The 2024-25 season saw the series premieres of their new comedies Happiest Place on the 18th of October, 2024 and St. Denis Medical on the 12th of November, 2024. References.
Good. That was many hundreds of names, and I cannot remember that, but I did like to read it. So now I did read it. So, but I cannot remember all this many hundred names and years. So I have to find out what to read tomorrow. But it's 10 a.m. p.m. So I need to go to bed because I'm old. I was sleeping 2 a.m. yesterday. I don't have heating on because it's so hot in the daytime, so let's keep heating up for tonight. So, but let's save the rest of the cola because I have a long month. So let's save this cola for Friday. So there's no cola tomorrow morning. Just drink water. So, but I will go to my bed, upload this.